Speaking of Portal, let's take a step back in time.
Step back, James Harden step back.
We talking about Martin McFly.
Martin McFly.
Yeah. Recently, the 75th anniversary of Game passed.
Mm-hmm.
On the NBA, you know.
November 1st, first game, the Knicks, I guess the Knicks in Toronto, whatever Toronto was.
I forgot what it was back then either, too. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
We're not going that fucking far back. We going back in time to, I think we need to throw some appreciation on a certain league that needs more credit for what they was doing.
Justice League, huh?
Well, let's see. What comes across your mind when I say these names like Rick Barry, George the Iceman Gervin,
skinny guy,
Moses Malone,
big guy,
Julius Dr. J. Irving,
Afro.
All those names. What comes to your mind?
Yes, they played in the ABA.
They played in the ABA. I will say Artis Gilmore, but I know the fans probably don't know who that
Nobody
is.
care about no goddamn Artis Gilmore.
Yeah, that's why I'm naming all the names that people like. Oh yeah, I know him. So yeah, the ABA, man. So what if I was to tell you that the ABA was actually better than the NBA?
I say you crazy.
All right.
I say you crazy.
All right. So we're going to revisit that question after this episode.
All right.
Everybody know I've been trying to do this episode for a long time, so forgive me for the hesitation, but it's finally here. We finally cooked it up. The ABA is actually better than the NBA. I'm telling you now, that's my take. And let's see if I'm going to prove it to y'all right now. I don't know why I did that shit. All right, so 1967, the ABA started a team. I said started a league, my bad, started a league. So the NBA was around, of course, because, they started in 1946. So the NBA was around and everything. So they, it cost a lot of money to get in the NBA. So, what they did was start another league, and it cost that much. I didn't look up the NBA, the ABA owner's name, whoever started. That's actually irrelevant information.
Right.
They had 7 fucking commissioners in 9 years.
Right.
Shows how crazy that league was. So the league was cheap.
And plus, didn't you say in the basketball episode, New Orleans basketball episode, like the buy team was like $1,000?
Oh yeah, well the New Orleans Bucks was $1,000. Shout out to the New Orleans Bucks. Y'all go check out that episode. But yeah, so the ABA they kind of wanted to do something like, the NBA had the New York Knicks, the Philly, I think, the Boston, of course, right. Minneapolis Lakers. They was all in the big cities.
Right.
The ABA was trying to cover up them small cities, Memphis, New Orleans, Battle Creek. You know what I'm saying? They trying to get them small cities out. Little Rock, Arkansas. Death Valley. I don't think Death Valley. You get it though. Cincinnati, those cities. Who got the little small playground. ABA was trying to cover them. And there was so the team was like half the price, you know what I'm saying? They didn't cost that much. Right. So apparently the idea of the ABA was to convince people to be like, hey, look, this team blow up, y'all gonna be able to go to the NBA. Because the NBA was still, where it was at. NBA was where the goal was at. The NBA had the TV contracts. Right. They had the players, but they had the known teams. The Celtics were more known than the fucking Bucks. This like the 70s.
The ABA was kind of like the minor leagues or something like that.
So my thing is, I think they was more like WCW. I think there was a decent rival. It's just, they had to go through it. They had to go through it certain extents to get where they was at.
Right.
So the league was cheap. So they had to stoop to lower levels to get to where they need to be at. So what they did was during that time, during the 70s, the NBA, you had to play like 3 years of college to be in the league. 3 years of college or 3 years out of high school. I forgot which one was the rule. You remember the rule?
I think it was 3 years of college.
3 years of college. All right. So the ABA said, you know what? Fuck that. We'll take anybody right now. Keem, that was a nice shot. Here's a contract, you know. Wanna play with the ABA? That's how they was treating people. They were like, you know, fuck it, you know, you got whoever. That's how they got Dr. J. Cause like, you know, it was like Dr. J wasn't eligible for the NBA, but ABA like, shit, we'll take him. And that's how they got Rick Barry, George Gervin. That's how they got Moses Malone straight out of high school. It was like he wasn't eligible for the NBA. So of course that's how the merger, when the merger came about. That's how they, you know, that's how that shit became about. How Trace McGrady and Kobe and Dwight Howard and all got paved the way. All right, so this is the problem. The NBA was kind of like this structured traditional game that was already surrounded by the big men. You know, you had your Wilton, your Bill Russells, and now it's Kareem was the guy. Mm-hmm. But the NBA was so traditional. It was like they didn't even dunk in the NBA in the 70s like that. If you look at the stars of the 70s, the Dave Cowens, the John Havliceks, the Bob McAdoo's, even Kareem. Kareem was a hook shot artist, but none of these dudes was dunking. Yeah. You know where I was at though? ABA was doing. They was yamming. They doing windmills. They dunking. Was it Daryl Dunkins? No, Daryl Duncan wasn't there. But of course they had the Dr. J's and the George Gervin. So you know, even Artis Gilmore, they dunking. Another thing they specialized in, they had small ball. So the centers, Artis Gilmore was probably one of the bigger dudes in the ABA. And he was like, 6'10". Oh, bro. But, yeah, these dudes played fastball. They played street ball. It was more of a freestyle game. They didn't have hand checking like that. They lacked up on defense. So, you know, the game was more flashier. And then, of course, I don't know, maybe most people know that, but they started the three-point line.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the line that we respect so much in 2021 was started with the ABA. They had a three-point line. They were shooting from long range way before the NBA. Oh, bro. So one of the most iconic things that the ABA had, matter of fact, which relates to that, the three-point line, was the ball they had. The ball was, you know, the red, white, and blue ball. Yeah. You know, you fuck with the red, white, and blue ball? Yeah. All right, like they had people who didn't fuck with it. Yeah. I looked it up. Fire. Yeah, I thought so too. I looked it up. Most people didn't even fuck with the red, white, and blue ball. I'm like, what y'all talking about? That shit dope. But apparently people thought that was clownish, but nowadays people fucking with it. Yeah. And even in the 3-point contest,
the money ball.
Bam. So clearly ABA was ahead of the game. When the Warriors talking about they light years ahead, the ABA was light years ahead.
I always wanted them to play the All-Star game with the ABA ball. Or at least color the ball red, white, and blue.
Yeah, that'd have been dope, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that shit. All right, so let's go. Let's get to the real shit though. These dudes is broke as fuck though. Let's not get it twisted. They ain't like. Of course, you know you got the free ticket games. If you did pay for the games, it's a couple of dollars. The NBA just had everything. They had the TV deals, they had the contracts, they had the notoriety, They had the branding. Yeah. The Celtics was way more famous than the fucking Bucks. You gonna want to see the Celtics instead of that. The only reason you'll go to the ABA game was one person, Dr. J. Mm-hmm. And eventually, you know, it started phasing out. So, pretty much what I want to conclude, because it's pretty much I just want to describe how the ABA was. I mean, it only lasted 9 years. Like I said, It was pretty much shambles. But the things they utilize today, let me know what I'm missing. We got street ball playground style in the ABA. You got the fast pace, the flashy passes, the dunking, the 3-point shot, and you got the small ball play. Mm-hmm. I get it. That shit wasn't cool in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, but guess what? The ABA is what we watching right now. Mm-hmm. So, people down this era on some shit, don't they? But I think basketball's had one of the best when it comes to players and talent and style.
I don't think they like, you talk about like the 70s?
Well, all right. So me and you both agree that the 2000s is one of the better eras of NBA.
Right.
But all right, so where do we put the 2010s? Because that's pretty much the ABA style of basketball now. Would we say 2010s or would we say 2020s? What would you say? When you say small ball truly kicked in?
I say 2010s.
2010s? So I would say we officially moved to ABA style of basketball 2010s. Let me give you one last point on the ABA. How the NBA still copied them. The whole All-Star weekend came from the ABA.
I already know.
3-point shot, the All-Star game, the dunk contest, all that was the ABA idea. And that's pretty much solidifying my point of maybe the ABA was a better league. If it wasn't for money issues, we probably had to. Well, I'm sorry, they wouldn't, because the whole idea was to merge the NBA. But
so the ABA is like ESPN NFL 2K4. Like, everybody regard that as the greatest football game, and all Madden do is all they did is steal shit from that game.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying on that. Yeah, something like that. Like, they took the whole player moves and all that.
That shit.
Something to that nature. That's how I'm looking at it. So we need to start looking that shit up again, man. I mean, I don't think the NBA need a rival league no more, especially the fact that everybody just pile up on certain teams these days.
Shut up. I mean, yeah, we got the Olympics and FIBA and all that shit, and the best players in the world. I mean, most of the best players in the world come to the NBA. I mean, Luka was tearing it up overseas, and he in the NBA now. Like, eventually, all them guys come to the NBA and play.
That's true. The NBA just became like I said, once the merge became solid, then it pretty much became the league to be what we see today.
Global phenomenon.
Yeah. They only carried 4 teams over. If you don't know, it was the Spurs, the Pacers, the Nuggets, and the Nets. Picture how the Knicks could have got Dr. J, but they declined. Cause look how crazy this fucking merger deal was, bruh. They had to pay the Knicks because they were stealing fans from them.
Bro, damn.
Yeah. They had
that's some bullshit.
One of the owners, he get paid 1/7 of those 4 teams' TV revenues forever. So this dude is pretty much a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire. Who else? What?
Just off that merger?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Look, the merger kind of fucked over the ABA because they don't record the numbers. The 4 teams, they didn't get paid for their TV deals for the first 4 years or some shit.
I thought their stats did carry over.
No, Dr. J would be a top 10 player if his stats carried over. He'll be like number 9 on the scoring list.
Oh shit!
And he'll be a 4-time champion.
I always thought that shit. That's crazy.
Dr. J would be in the GOAT conversation if the stats if this ABA stats count. That was part of the merger deal. I found that crazy as fuck.
See, now I see why Dr. J get that love like that now.
Yeah.
I didn't know he won championships in the ABA.
He won 2 or 3. I gotta check. I think he won 3. And he won like 3 MVPs in the ABA also.
I'm about to look him up.
Yeah, so but the NBA don't recognize the ABA record, so he's a one-time champion and one-time MVP. So,
bro,
like I said, if you include the fact what we watching today, street ball, flashy dunks, flashy passes, small ball is ruling the game. All-Star Weekend is one of the biggest weekends in sports, and of course, what we utilize these days, the 3-point contest. I think we watching ABA basketball, people. So after I told this whole story, I'm saying to myself now, I'm like, okay, ABA wasn't the greatest of leagues, because 2000s gave me that vibe that no other era gave me, I guess. But yeah, I think we're currently watching the ABA right now. That I think that's my conclusion of this whole story.
And see on here, see on Wikipedia they got all his shit combined.
Oh, you gotta go to Basketball Reference and you'll see it. You'll see the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd be like 8th or 9th on the list if he was
he had 30,000 points total. So yeah, he'd have been up there, top 10, or at least top something.
Yeah. But that's why a lot of people discredit the 70s because, like I said, like the names I said, Moses Malone, Dr. J, George Gervin, Rick Barry was all in the ABA, while the NBA had Kareem, Dave Cowens, Bob McAdoo, Havlicek. Those dudes wasn't as flashy as the first I named.
I'll put Moses over all them dudes other than Kareem and Wilt.
I didn't say Wilt.
I'm just saying.
Well, okay, yeah, I'm about to say Wilt better play in the 70s. But that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the issue with the 70s players. That's why Kareem probably don't get as much love because his biggest rival was in the ABA.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, Kareem would have won 5 MVPs in the 70s if Dr. J was in the league.
Right.
And yeah, that's the ABA in a nutshell. Like I said, it ended in 9 seasons. 1976, the merger happened. And that was it.
Bro. So I'm gonna have to get an ABA a little more respect,
You got to, bro. Like I said, it was a decent rival from what you looking at now.
Right.
If we was looking at this story in 1990s, that probably the ABA would look like some clown shit. Even 2000s, it probably look like some Harlem Globetrotter shit.
Some Globetrotter.
Yeah, but once 2000s hit, it's like, huh. Then when 2020s now, it's like, oh wow, yeah, we watching a mirror image of what we used to watch.
The NBA going on right now.
What you mean?
I think
another league.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about no other leagues. But shit, that's it. That's all I got on ABA, King. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Oh yeah, American Basketball Association. 2000 to right now, semi-professional.
That's like a G League or something?
Kind of like minor leagues.
Oh.
It's semi-pro, so.
Yeah, see, I don't know about that.
I remember something like that being around, but yeah. But yeah, that's what's up, though.
But overall point is...
So you still think the ABA was better?
No, because it wasn't better than 2000s.
Yeah.
I didn't. Again, I honestly had notes. I didn't rehearse what I was saying. If you can't tell, but now that I'm saying it out loud, I still think 2000 is the best era of basketball. So ABA ain't fucking with that. Yeah. 2020s. My overall point from this whole story now is that that's what we watching. We're watching ABA basketball. The lack of defense, like. Maybe a little more defense in the NBA these days than the ABA.
I think they're playing this year. They actually kind of playing a little more.
Yeah, they're taking defense a little more serious.
Yeah.
But...
it's not the 130 to 125 games.
Exactly.
It's a lot of 90 to 100s. Kind of like that old... I wasn't just like the old 2000s, but, Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway... that's all I got. Anything you got on this, man?
Nah.
Alright. Shout out to the ABA. I do want to just give them their recognition for being a rival league.